I was feeling uncertain of my next steps. So I was in a bit of a difficult place of not knowing what would come next and wanting to create. And so for me, that Paris planning process and looking at that Paris plan when I sat at my desk every day was really important. But coming into Christmas, I knew I was leaving the School of Renovating and I had a job interview coming up. And so I thought, okay, I really want this. I'm going to create what happens next. And the way I wanted to do that was to visually transform my Paris plan, my power plan into a vision board. And it was remarkable what happened, the power of visuals for me. So off I went and I created it.
You're listening to the She Renovates podcast. You're listening to She Renovates, the podcast for women who want to renovate to create an income and a life they love.
Hello everyone. Today I have a guest that you may be familiar with in Elizabeth Gordon. Now, Liz was on our team up until Christmas of this year, and at the beginning of the year, she set some pretty lofty goals for herself, and that the process that she has adopted in order to achieve them has really been very successful. And so for that reason, I've asked Liz to come onto this call. We will be talking about a specific project, a new strategy, probably not in detail though, because Liz is going to share the detail of that project because it's a new strategy at She Renovates Live. So if you want to hear the nitty gritty on the that particular strategy, then you want to get yourself into She Renovates Live 2024. But for today, let's talk about the process of achieving Liz's lofty goals. And I have to say, Liz is one of my favourite people in the world for lots of reasons. One, because she has such a humble demeanour, but because she is so committed to the outcome that she sets for herself. That is a rare thing. And what I want you to do is to really take every minute of this episode in, because what she'll be sharing with you is pure gold. So welcome, Liz.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. What an amazing introduction. Thank you.
Well, you are very welcome and you deserve every bit of the praise. And I just absolutely love working with you because, for those who don't know, Liz is in Wonder Women and she extracts every ounce of value out of it, and the proof is in the pudding. So what I want you to do in the beginning, for me, that's very satisfying because I love when you get results and get such fantastic results. So what I want you to do is to set the scene. So you're at the beginning of the year. What's going on for you?
Well, actually, the process started towards the end of last year, mid-end of last year. I had created a power plan with you, and it started way back then, and I put that power plan, or Paris plan, as you sometimes call it, on the wall beside me where I work from home. And that was having an impact because I had finished a corporate role where I was on a full-time salary and I was working several days a week for you. And I was feeling uncertain of my next steps. So I was in a bit of a difficult place of not knowing what would come next and wanting to create. And so for me, that Paris planning process and looking at that Paris plan when I sat at my desk every day was really important. But coming into Christmas, I knew that I was leaving the School of Renovating and I had a job interview coming up. And so I thought, okay, I really want this. I'm going to create what happens next. And the way I wanted to do that was to visually transform my Paris plan, my power plan, into a vision board, because I did that once before about 5 years ago, and it was remarkable what happened, the power of visuals for me. So off I went and I created it.
Amazing. So do you mind if we share an image of the vision board with our recording?
Not at all.
Okay.
I've even got it here, but you
Amazing.
probably can't see it.
No, not really, but that's okay because we'll share it with the recording. But what were some of the things what were the notable things on that board, the ones that you're going to really have to step up to?
Well, look, it has 2024 on it. And so it's not my big, hairy, audacious goal, but it's I set it for this year. And some of the things that it has on it is lots of images, but also some words that meant something for me. So in the top right-hand corner, I've got, I love my job. So for everyone listening, I actually want to renovate full-time and I'm working towards that. But in the meantime, I need to keep the lights on. So I decided, I mean, I loved working at the School of Renovating, but taking on a new job, it was really important for me to love it.
Yeah.
And so that's in one corner. And then it's there's a woman with a hard hat on, a builder. There's a picture of some subdivisions, so a lot plan with subdivisions. There's two women arm in arm, because for me, I wanted to depict what it's like working in a joint venture. And I've got some other people around a table talking. And at the bottom, there's the picture of the house that we bought and haven't been able to move into because I have just not felt confident we had enough income to sustain that mortgage without a tenant. And I've got, we can afford to live in a picture of the house if it suits us. So I've got, in another part, I've got, it's December 2024, and I'm so pleased I have earned at least $200,000. And when I wrote that, I just thought that was a bonkers goal, but I thought I'm going to put that on there anyway. You never know. And yeah, so that's how I set my thing. It's got profitable renos on it, and it's got some pictures of renos, successful joint ventures. It's got the word excited. It's got the word proud. It's got down in the left-hand corner a little heart that says my training has paid off. So
Amazing.
yeah, that's a little bit about my board.
And so to put things in perspective, you actually achieved that goal in 8 months.
Yes, I did. And I can't believe it. It's the most I've ever earned. And it happened with ease. It happened in one deal. I mean, so out of the last deal, I made a considerable amount of money. And when you add that to my part-time 3-day-a-week job, I've gone well over the 200,000. But it happened with ease, and it's quite a lot of money, even for me sitting here now.
Yeah. And so how does that make you feel? Like when you set a goal? Now, it's important to note you didn't have mega bucks to invest in a project, did you? So
No.
let's get clear about that. Can I ask how much you had to invest?
Well, we've got a line of credit or an offset account against another loan. And because of my work situation and our capacity to service debt, I was only really comfortable to spend $150,000. So I couldn't borrow to buy a house. I couldn't, I was really limited. So I just had to take that $150,000 and create with that.
Amazing. And so, so how does it feel to have been able to achieve that huge goal for you? Because it was, and I know that you say that you created it with ease, and I'm really glad that was your experience. But from where I was looking, you had some serious hurdles to overcome, and you really did push through those.
So it's really funny. After I created the vision board, I did that thing where I go for a walk regularly, and I chanted under my breath, "The answer is calming. I know that it's calming. I have the answer. I already have the answer." And it's funny because from about the 1st of December last year, I believed that. So, and the next thing you know, a way of making money from flipping came into my orbit, and it really changed the way I approach things. And what this has done for me is it's made me increase my my self-worth, or not self-worth, but the amount of money I think I can achieve from a deal has gone up considerably. So the benchmark's gone up.
How do you feel?
Oh, absolutely amazing. I feel excited. I feel empowered. I feel capable. I just feel so excited, and I almost feel disbelief, but I don't, because I did it, and I've had weeks to get used to it. But I feel so proud, and I feel supported, because throughout the process I did have support. I didn't do it all on my own, but it's that culmination of vision, and then searching for the answer, and then having people around you that can really support you.
And I completely agree with that. It can be a lonely existence when you are operating on your own and you're having to make key decisions, particularly in the scenario that you were in. Do you want to just roughly, don't go into too much detail, because as I said, we're going to talk about that at the conference, but just explain what the strategy was?
So basically, the strategy is around joint venturing with someone who already owns a home and who wants to sell it, and putting in capital and experience and creating tremendous uplift for that seller. And it's an amazing strategy, because not only can it be lucrative, and I've proven that, but it creates a win for the owner, a win for me, and a win for the agent that you engage, because that you're bringing a beautiful product to market. So yeah, that's how the strategy operates.
And so, but there are also, you needed to, when I say you have to overcome some hurdles, you actually have to generate, you have to, convince is probably not the right word, but convince that an owner that you are someone that he can trust to actually deliver the outcome, because he's handing over quite a big asset. And so I think that, while it's great that you saw it as ease, I saw you, overcoming some big hurdles.
Oh, yeah, there were lots of hurdles, and hurdles around, we won't go into too much detail, but the legal, the contractual side of things to be overcome, hurdles around the law, around what you should say when you're selling a property, and whether there was to be homeowners warranty insurance, hurdles around, selecting the right agent, and doubt at the beginning of the process. And I remember, Bernadette, you came and looked at that property, and I had sort of in my head that the renovation might take I don't know, a bit longer. But you said to me, I think you should be able to knock this over in 8 weeks. And I was like, oh. So, so, but that is an important element of the strategy. And I took 10 weeks, but the last 2 weeks I thought, well, I give myself a break because the owner wasn't in any tremendous hurry. So I thought I'm the only one busting my valves here and took a bit.
And I think also, given that you are working, you have a job, you have elderly parents, and you have a lot going on in your life, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And 3 days a week working is quite a lot to be doing this in your spare time. But my mum always said, and this is topical because my mum's not very well, and she has always said to me, Liz, there is a solution to every problem. And that's part of the vision board, because the thing about a vision board is you can't know how it's going to come, but I think you've got to put down with some clarity what you want, and then create confidence that the universe will deliver. So you have to do stuff every day that takes you towards those goals. It's not enough to stick it on the wall and look at it.
No. Yes. And that is the point I wanted to make. It takes consistent action and being out of your comfort zone. So, being able to make, 6 figures, more than 6 figures with very little financial input from you, it does take stepping up. And I think, you're certainly a great ambassador for for women's empowerment.
Yeah. And thank you. I have to say that another thing that helps me is, like, I am on a path to finishing work. And until then, I'm determined to enjoy my work. But one of the other things I do then is I take my vision board that comes from my Paris plan, my power plan, and every day, one of the women in Wonder Women shared with me a document that she had, which is about setting your daily intentions. And then reflecting in the evening. Now, I'm not so good at reflecting in the evening, but every day I get up and, well, it's probably not every day, but by the third day, if I haven't done it, I'm feeling like it's out of control. But I write down my top 3 goals for the year, and I write the same thing every day. And then I write down my brain dump of tasks I've got to do. And then I put my tasks in priority order, so they don't all get done in that day, but my top priority tasks go up to be actioned. And I take a photo of that and I take it to work. And then on the back, it does say, what did I achieve today? It says, were there any goals that I missed out and why, or any tasks that I missed out and why. And it's quite big on scheduling. So you only put 3 tasks for the day.
Yeah.
And you schedule them. So, it keeps you on track, and it makes you think, oh, well, if going shopping is on that list, but it's not on your top 3 goals for the year, then you need to put something ahead of the shopping. So there's a few tools that I use to keep myself religiously on track.
I think also it's important to understand how you as a person operate and what you need in order to embed an intention. And because for me, scheduling just does not work. I don't know. I think it's the ADD. I just can't. It just doesn't work. But I do a similar thing. I use project cards for my daily goals and intentions, and I find that works really well for me. And reviewing is always a valuable activity, although we don't always do it. So for those who don't know, the Paris planning is it works on the basis that you have a big goal like it might be an income. So for Liz, it might be, I'm just making this up. I'm not going to be asking you to share your soul, but it might be to have, say, that $200,000 income without having a salaried job. So to be producing that from projects. And so that's your big goal, or it might be more, it might be 500,000 a year. But it's the concept that if you are going on a big journey, that it's not a straight line. You need to adjust to the circumstances of the day. And so it's like if you're traveling to Paris, you might run into friends in, say, I don't know, Italy, and they might suggest you come and stay at their house. It's an opportunity that comes up. So you have to be able to adjust in order to, make the most of opportunities and, avoid negative things. So we work on, having the big Paris goal, but then having pit stops along the way and, managing it in chunks. I don't know whether I've explained it very well, but yeah.
That's part of it, B, is like going to the down to the 90-day plan. So it was funny because I haven't looked at that document for a while because I've been looking at my vision board and writing my daily intentions. And I went back because I'm going to meet with you. I need to review my Paris plan, and the Paris stays the same, but the 90-day plan, it was really interesting. It was, even though I haven't sort of looked at it, because actually it was 180 days, 2 lots of 90, tick, 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 tick. So it's really been amazing, and I've got to refill that. So you're setting in your Paris plan the really big picture, and then your milestones, but then it goes down to, okay, for the next 90 days, what are you doing? So it makes it really concrete.
Yeah. And it's for that reason that we're going to 90-day boardrooms, because I often quote Zig Ziglar says that motivation is like bathing. It needs to be done regularly. And I know that I find that I will set 90-day goals. By the end of the 90 days, my level of motivation, my enthusiasm it's getting tired. And so you really, like they say, talk about rah-rah. The value of rah-rah is raising your vibration, and we know that that's really important for you to be able to create in the way that you have. And so that's why I brought the boardrooms. We used to do 2 a year. We're now doing 4 a year, so that we have that opportunity to raise our vibration and go out into the world all fired up again, and with the expectation that will lift the results. Okay, so you managed to keep your financial input limited to just the renovation costs, but how did you plan and manage the financial side of the renovation so effectively?
Well, I've learned that firstly, I approached that reno like every dollar that I saved for me or for the owner was a shared dollar saved for me, because we were joint venturers. So there was an incentive there. I have learned from you and the other renovators in the group that it's really useful to reuse as much as you can. So I bought secondhand appliances, except for, I bought a secondhand dishwasher, a secondhand extractor fan, but the person had never used it, but it was a tremendous discount. So I did things like that. And in the kitchen, we retained the carcasses of the kitchen, and we just did we refaced it. So we did spend some money on I did spend some money on new cabinetry in the laundry / butler's pantry, but wherever possible, reused, or was really sensible about what we could do. There were some things that I didn't expect and did cost more than I budgeted for. And that was, for example, the garden. I had no idea. It was just a terrible mess. And I had no idea. A couple of gardeners came and gave me quotes. And then once they had done, the gardener I selected had done their work, we still needed to do more.
Yeah.
So, some things you've got to work on as you go, but it's really that attention to saving money wherever you can and reusing. Yeah, and getting multiple quotes where expenses are quite high, getting multiple quotes. Yeah.
And you did end up spending a bit more than you planned to. What was that on?
There was gardening, painting. So firstly, when I did my budget at the beginning, I put in a figure for painting, and my quotes that I received, even the middle quote, was higher than I had anticipated. But I felt like that painter would do a good job. And I was beginning to see, as I listened to painters, that it was a big job, a 5-bedroom house and so on. But I spent more because as we went with the painters, I worked out something I hadn't considered, and that was the aluminium or whatever they were, steel metal window frames were old-fashioned primrose. And when we painted trims on the exterior white, they just looked wrong. And so windows on the inside that I wasn't going to cover up with curtains, they had to be sprayed white. And then the windows on the outside at the front needed to be sprayed white. And when it's reasonably time and labor intensive, and that probably added, I don't know, maybe $3,000 to the painting quote, for example. But also I got agents through. I had selected an agent, and I got him back towards the end of the reno, and I said to him, he was pretty blown away, but it was still a mess. So, and it wasn't staged. So it's hard to see how it's actually going to look. But I said to him, what are the top 5 objections that a buyer might have, seeing what you can see? And he told me 5 things. And so I fixed them.
Amazing.
So there were things that I was open to changing things along the way and doing a bit more, because by then I'd watched some recent sales in the area, and I had a sense it was a very valuable house, and we could probably stretch just to give the buyer a feeling that they could move in. It was turnkey. It would look like a new house, nothing to do. Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point. So we harp on a lot about not overcapitalising, but I really believe that undercapitalising is equally as damaging. And so, you were careful not to overcapitalise because you knew that you had some bandwidth there. But I think that and like often in a project, I have spent money that I didn't intend to spend, and often the opportunity doesn't present itself until you're into the project, and spending that money often is the difference between achieving your outcome and not. So you do need to use some pretty serious judgment on that. And I'm really proud of you for being that discerning and making those judgment calls.
Thanks.
Because there's a lot of harping on about maintaining your budget, but you do need to, like, I have a theory that in the last few weeks of the projects, it's not like I spend indiscriminately, but I don't not spend because it's out of the budget, because it can't be anything too much. And those little finishing touches, like your primrose windows, are the difference between the house looking tired from the street and it not. So, I think that's awesome.
One other place that I feel I am learning is very important is the landscaping or the yards. So we did lots of gardening and we tidied it up, but it still let the house down there was an area outside the house that wasn't getting much sun. I could have turfed it, but turf is expensive and it doesn't look good until it really gets established and knits together. And so I made the decision to put some pebbles down. I don't know what you call that stuff, but then put stepping stones in this one area. And it was reasonably expensive, but it was a much better effect than turf. It was much cheaper than other alternatives, like, doing a whole lot of paving or something. And I couldn't believe it when I went there. It just transformed the exterior. So my learning is, I always think more about the interior than the exterior. And in a house that is it's sold at a high price, the exterior, the outdoor living is really important to people and they'll pay for it.
Awesome. Okay.
Can I also say that one thing I think is really important is, even with all the vision in the world, I'm limited by my own experience and skills and so on. I find the Wonder Women group really amazing because people have different skills. And for example, interior design skills. Amazingly, I've got project vision. Like, I can add up what I think I'm going to make at the end and what, a base price, and I can do the numbers, but I actually can't very easily imagine a beautiful space. And so I need help with that. And you and the women in the group can help with things like mood boards. And, I used to giggle about mood boards, but they really, you helped me with that mood board, and it really gave me something to focus the whole renovation on. It was critical. So all of these women in the group have really different skills and experience and help me because I just can't do it on my own.
Exactly. And my next question was going to be, what part did the Wonder Women program play? So you've pretty much answered it. And I think just moving back to the mood board, I think the mood board is equally as important as the budget, because that's sort of the visual representation of what you're going to end up with. And it's sort of like the budget keeps you on track with your spending. The mood board keeps you on track with your decisions, your choices about what's going to go in. And we're actually going to do a lot more work on mood boarding in the program, because it is, and I know because we've got a few interior designers they know it like the back of their hand. It's great because they can contribute to our projects, but we do need to be building those skills so that we can, create a mood board that sustains our project.
So the two areas where I feel like I need help that I get, well, there's many, but is around visualizing the product and around negotiation. Because I lack a bit of confidence, I'm quite quick to discount or to go to cutting, and so it's good to have sounding boards. You can say, no, Liz, think twice about that,
Yeah, and that is a woman issue. Like, I think we've all been, affected by that, and I think it is a bit of a lack of self-worth. And so, because, look at guys, and they, most of them have no trouble, like even sort of when you're running a business, which you are now, asking for what you're worth. Most women don't do that. I really noticed that about interior designers. Many of them actually hate their jobs because they're not being paid enough for what they do. And so it's an important skill to build. Yeah. And you're right. We do that collectively. We keep one another accountable to our goals. Yeah. So that's awesome. So with the success of this project under your belt, how do you plan to apply what you've learned to future endeavours?
I intend to do more of these because they really align with my values, which are about about helping other people whilst I'm helping myself. And the whole way along, with every trade that I've worked with, I've been shamelessly telling them about this idea and how it works. So I haven't been using the exact numbers, but I've been painting a very clear picture. And I've got a real supporter in one of my builders, and he today contacted me. He does pool maintenance. And so when do people do pool maintenance?
When they're about to sell.
That's right, when their pool is non-compliant. And so he contacted me today and he said, look, I'm doing a pool for a guy who says he wants to sell. And he says he's open to talking to you. And then he said to me, Liz, I want to sell our own house. If you gave me some advice or, would you help me and you can use it as a project? And I was like, well, yes, thank you. So I expect also the agent, I was asking him the whole way through, has he got any more? Has he got any more? Has he got any more? And so he did tell me about one which unfortunately got listed by another agent. But I've got a few advocates working for me. I will also letterbox drop, because I do think that I probably am going to have lots of conversations with people before, people are ready to do this. So I need to just keep in the game. But all this has to be balanced with my job and so on. So I think I'm probably going to have to increase my use of VAs as well to help me. Yeah.
So that's another topic, and we might cover that in another episode. So something that Liz has been doing is building her profile and her business. And that's a really critical part, because the better you do that, the more the projects come to you and you don't have to go looking for them. So, So we currently have just opened up Wonder Women for the first time in this year, because I've been making it over and refining it. And so if you are someone that's interested in joining this group, and just to clarify, it's for women that have got big goals. It's not like, as you've heard from Liz, you need to be committed to your goals. It's not just going to happen just by joining a program. But if you do come into it and we work with your goals with you, and you make use of the resources that we offer you, the world is your oyster. So, Liz, what would you say to someone that was considering joining Wonder Women?
I would say, I've said this before, if you're a professional athlete, it's accepted that you would have a coach. Why do so many of us everyday people who have big ambitions in business or in life not have coaches? Can you afford, there is a cost to being involved in Wonder Women, but can you afford not to invest in yourself to make sure that you're the best you can be? So it's a great bunch of people. I've always had a coach. This group is the warmest, most supportive group and the most diverse group that I've ever been in, and I really get so much out of it. I get help that saves me a fortune. So that's what I would say.
Thank you for that, Liz. And if anyone wants to check out your project or talk to you about a project, where should they go to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I have Instagram at the moment, and my details are in my Instagram bio, and the handle, I believe it's called, is at Liz Gordon _transformation spaces. So if you look that up, you'll find lots of reels and stills of my project. So with some of my profit, I'm going to invest in a website because I need credibility. And I don't think the website will have all the bells and whistles, but people need to go somewhere and just older people who are probably more Facebookers that they and website visitors, they need somewhere to go. So, yeah.
Just one more thing that I forgot to mention. What's something else you're doing with your profit?
Oh, I'm going. So, well, this might be what you're talking about, Bernadette, but I've booked tickets for the family to go to Europe. So was that it, Bernadette?
Yeah, that was it.
The profit's got lots of things earmarked. I'm going to pay also the tax that I should have paid on another project, and I decided to pay on the drip feed. It's been bleeding cash from our bank account, so I'm going to pay that off. But the most exciting thing is the Europe trip, which is a reward to my family for being so persistent and patient and supportive while I do these things. Quite often on weekends, I'm running around doing stuff. So, yeah, it's their reward too.
Well, as I said, you deserve all the good things that are coming to you. And I'm so pleased that you are rewarding yourself and your family. And yeah, you'll have an amazing time.
Thanks, B.
This is the She Renovates podcast. To discover how to harness the power of renovating, check out theschoolofrenovating.com.